Welcome to Course 2, Lesson 15. Today we're going to talk about equivalent fractions and reducing fractions, Part 1. We're going to multiply a fraction by fractions equal to 1 to form what we call equivalent fractions. And then we're also going to divide a fraction by a fraction equal to 1 in order to reduce it to its lowest terms. We're about halfway through our review lessons. Review lessons from Course 1 go through about Lesson 30. So this should still be a review for you. If it's not, then we need to get together and give you a little private tutoring. Our vocabulary for this lesson is equivalent fractions, lowest terms, and terms. We'll go over all three of these during the lesson. I think you know what they mean, but we'll review them as we go through each one of the slides. To begin with, let's talk about equivalent fractions. As you look up here at these four holes, you can see that if they're all blue halfway through, so they're all equivalent to 1/2, but they're not all 1/2 a fraction. One's 2/4 says there's 2 out of 4. There's 3 colored out of 6 parts. There's 4 parts colored out of 8 parts. Although 4/8, 3/6, and 2/4 are all different fractions, they're all equivalent. They're all equal to 1/2 of the whole that they represent. As you can see from that, they all have the exact same value. It doesn't matter. 1/2 is equal to 2/4, which is equal to 3/6, which is equal to 4/8. And the way we do that is we use the knowledge we know about the identity property of multiplication, which says that anything times 1 is itself, or A times 1 equals A. So we can form any equivalent fraction we want by multiplying a fraction by fractions equal to 1. That could be 5/5, that equals 1. It could be 2/2, that equals 1. It could be 4/4. So if you come down here and you take 1/2 and you times it by 2/2, which equals 1, then it's going to equal 2/4. And 2/4 is equal to 1/2. If we decide we want to multiply it by 4/4, then we end up with the equivalent fraction 4/8. This is equal to 1/2 when you reduce it. So just keep that in mind. Anytime you want to create an equivalent fraction, if I said take 1/2 and create an equivalent fraction that ends in has a denominator of 6, then you'd multiply it by 3/3. You get your denominator of 6, and you get your equivalent fraction of 3/6. So find for me an equivalent fraction for 2/3 that has a denominator of 12. I'm going to do this one for you, and then you can work on the others by stopping the video. So let's see if I can do this right. I'm going to take my 2/3, and I've got to times it by something that'll give me a denominator of 12. Well, we both know that 4 times 3 is 12, but this right here has got to be equal to 1 in order for it to still be equivalent. So 4/4 equals 1. Now I just do my multiplication. 8/12 is an equivalent fraction for 2/3 with a denominator that ends in 12. Let's see if I did that right. Hey, there we go, right there, 8/12. We love it when we do it right. And if we reduce 8/12 down, we'd get right back to 2/3, wouldn't we? Find a fraction equivalent to 1/3 that has a denominator of 6. So you got to do that one first. Start with this one and get a denominator of 6, and then find a fraction equivalent to 1/2 with the denominator of 6. So you're going to end up with two fractions, both with denominators of 6. For example, 1/3 would be times 2/2 would give us 2/6. There's the answer to your first half. That's the answer to this one up here. Okay? Now find your other fraction by doing this, by getting 1/2 of the denominator of 6, and then take the two fractions and add them together. See if you can do that and find out what the answer is. And then restart the video. Here you can see the example that I gave over here on the left. By multiplying 2/2, we get our 2/6, which is the first thing it asks us to do. And then our 1/2 denominator with a, or 1/2 the denominator of 6 is right here. by multiplying it by the whole number of 3 over 3, which is equal to 1. When you add those two together, the 2 and the 3 equals 5. And then, of course, the denominators stay the same. So our answer is 5/6. Could you have lined these up like this? Could you have done it this way and came up with 5/6? Sure, you could have done that. Reduce 3 8/12 to its lowest terms. This one I'm going to help you with first, and then I'll have you do the others on your own. We're going to leave the 3 all by itself. We're not going to touch the 3. We're just going to go to the 8/12. Now to reduce it, what's the highest number that goes into both 8 and 12? Highest number is 4. So we're going to divide by 4 over 4, which again, as you can see, this is equal to 1, isn't it? So 8 divided by 4 equals 2, and 4 divided by 12 equals 3. Then we bring it all back together, so we'd have 3 2/3. That should be our answer. That should be our lowest terms. That should reduce this down to its lowest term of 3 2/3. Let's take a look and see. All right, great. Hey, I did it right. Write 9/12 as a mixed number with a fraction reduced. So I'll just remind you that a mixed number, the 3 2/3 from the previous slide, is a mixed number. Here's a whole number here and a fraction here. This is a mixed number. Take this and turn it into something that looks like this. Let's see if you can do this on your own. Okay, what you should have done is you could reduce first of all, if you choose to, and take and reduce by 3 over 3, which leaves you 4/3, because 3 goes into 12 4 times, and 3 goes into 9 3 times, which gives us the 4/3. And then how many times does 3 go into 4? It goes in 1 time, and if we take a 3 out of that 4, it leaves a 1 behind, so you end up with 1 1/3. That's one way you can do it. If you don't want to reduce first, then you could do it this way here, which is probably the way I would have done it. How many times does 9 go into 12? It goes in 1 time. And then you go 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means I've got 3 left over. So 1 3/9. But I know that 3/9 can be reduced even further, because 3 will go into both 3 and 9. 3 goes into 3 1 time, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So we end up back at our 1 1/3 answer, which is the same as the one we did here. So you can reduce first, or you can convert. It's up to you. Whatever you find easiest, whichever method you want is fine with me. Simplify 7/9 minus 1/9. Go ahead and turn off the video and let me see you do this. We start by subtracting, then we reduce. 7 minus 1 is 6, so we end up with 6/9 as our answer. We reduce that by dividing over 3 over 3, with the 3 being the largest number. We get our answer 2/3. Could we have used our butterfly method on this same problem? I think we could have. Could have done the same thing. Might have been a little bit harder. It's a pretty easy one to do. 7 minus 1 is 6. Could have done it that way there. I like this simpler method right here. Write 70% as a reduced fraction. 70 represents part of what whole? What would be the denominator for that to be a fraction? Oh, it would be 100. Let me see if you can reduce that down to its smallest number. So 70 over 100, if we pull out the 10 over 10, we end up with 7 over 10. So 7/10 is 70% reduced to its smallest fraction, not its smallest percentage, the smallest fraction. Remember our probability. With one spin, what's the probability that this spinner will stop on 4? Remember our formula. You remember it? This is our favorable outcomes up here, which is going to be our fours. How many fours do we have? This is going to be total outcomes on the bottom. Go ahead and stop your video. See if you can come up with the answer. I see up here that I have 2 4s. That's my favorable. There's 2 of them. 1, 2. And I know that I have a total of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. And then I reduce that down to the 1/4 probability. So my answer would be 1/4. Hopefully you remember that from your prior lesson. Here's your tickets in the door. Do numbers 1, 8, and 20. If you have any confusion, bring it up tomorrow, and we'll go over it again in class with everybody. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for sending in your tickets in the door. We'll see you tomorrow morning.